welcome to another episode of Queen City Unleashed. I am Shay Alushina. Thank you for joining us on our podcast where we care about sharing the voices of Charlotte. Today, we are continuing our Camp North End series. If you did hear episode 1, part 1 of that series, go back and check out our episode with former professional soccer player turned urbanist at Camp North End, Tesho Akindele. We had a great episode with him and learning a lot about walkability and development in Charlotte. And he has a lot of Camp North End pride. But to follow that up, today we have Michelle Fernandez, mental health therapist and owner of La Bodeguita, a craft cafe and creative wellness space here in Camp North End. Michelle, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you here in your airstream.
I know.
This is very unique. I feel like only in Camp North End will you find
Truly.
businesses that have, Tesho talked about this in his episode of the different spaces that they offer for businesses, from an airstream that's so small to larger spaces. So this is really cool.
Nowhere else in Charlotte that you can find literal, I don't know, this is 200 square feet. Not even. They don't even know the square footage on this thing, honestly. We signed a lease and we were like, I don't know. It seems like. And then you've got the Ford building right next to me, which is massive. I think you hear about adaptive reuse a lot. In general, I feel like in spaces or cities that are trying to keep some parts of history but move forward. But I think camp is one of my favorite projects that I've seen of truly
doing it,
truly reusing and honoring that. In the new space we moved into, the previous tenant was Jane from Good Postage, and she was the first person who had been in there.
she moved.
Yeah, she moved, and then we moved.
Love
Lots
that.
of expansions.
Beautiful little ecosystem.
Yes.
There. Okay, so we'll get to Camp North End and your space and
Yeah.
your new growth, which we're very excited about. You had an event last night, and that was for connecting people and helping people make new friends. Can you tell me, I wasn't able to make it. I was at another event for Confluence.
Yes.
But can you tell me about that?
Yes. I've been obsessed with the idea of speed dating for a minute. I've never done it. It seems like something you see in movies, and it always seems like one of those things that's better in theory than execution. And I'm always like, what is that? I don't know. That's cool. The therapist in me loves to make people or support people in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
And sometimes in community, you have to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
To grow or to want the thing. And that's something I talk about a lot in sessions. That's something that personally I practice a lot. So speed dating seems like honestly the most uncomfortable thing you could do. So 5 days ago, I was like, what if we did friend speed dating? And damn it, Wesley, being the angel that he is, was like, yes. And I was like, wonderful. And then camp was like, okay. And here we were. We had 50 people, I think. We had 100 and something, 120 RSVPs. I think 50 to 60 people came out. They rotated in and out. They were prompt. It was beautiful. And they were there for 3 hours speed dating.
So how many, one person, how many other people do you think they would have talked through in their rotation?
I feel like towards the end, everyone talked to everyone.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was really, really, really fascinating to see. We did, the plan was 3 rounds of 15 minutes. It definitely was more because everyone was so on time. But they did it in 15-minute chunks, then we would take a break. And basically within those 15 minutes, we broke it into 7-minute increments. So they were chatting with one person for 7 minutes and then switching.
No way.
Yeah. And then they collaged. And that was really cute.
So that the groups, groups of them would come together?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
So how many people would you say probably came individually?
Almost everyone.
No way.
No, legit. I was so surprised. I would say maybe we had 3 or 4 pairs of groups that came and then, split up for the actual event. But everyone else was they came by themselves. They saw it on TikTok. They saw it on Instagram. Yeah.
Look at you.
It was super cool.
This is what we talk about, when we say Charlotte people, want to make friends as well. And, sometimes they just need a forum, somebody else to just make it easy for them. But that sounds really cool.
No, really, truly. I always say that Charlotte is a baby city. I grew up here. I'm not born here, so I can't claim it.
Okay.
But
that was actually going to be my question for you. What is your story with Charlotte? How'd you get here?
Yeah. Well, I was born in Miami. I'm first gen. My dad came from Cuba. His family won the lotto thing that they had for people to get out when Castro took over. And so you had to have a family member here, and they had a family member in Connecticut. So they won this lotto thing and then got to Connecticut.
Okay.
And from there, I think they were there for like 3 to 4 years. It was too cold, and they found what Cubans think is the promised land, which was Miami. They were.
I don't feel like it's just Cubans. I feel
mean,
like there are a lot of Spanish
a lot,
countries,
yes.
a lot of Central America. Like Miami's
Yes.
a melting pot for.
Absolutely.
Like
it's a whole
there's
different
like
world.
in my mind, there's like Washington Heights in New York.
Yeah.
And then Miami.
And Miami. No, for real. Like you go to Miami and you are in a different space, place, time. Everything is different.
I need to go. I want to go for not like the beaches, but I want to go to see like.
Yeah.
That.
Like you actually go. Yeah. So I was born there. My mom came from Panama, 16. Different kind of story, but very much like she didn't know she was staying, and then her dad was like, "Yeah, no, like you were coming to stay." Oh. And so both of them, I think it was interesting to grow up in that experience of these two people who came here, are trying to assimilate, are trying to find their way, but very much still rooted in their culture. My dad grew up a lot more like, I guess what you consider Americanized, and then my mom still held lots of her culture. So I would say we grew up in very white spaces, but a very Latino household.
I can't tell you how much this speaks to my core. Like, so much. Yeah. Like, my parents both came over from Nigeria in early, mid-90s.
Together?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes. So they were engaged.
Okay.
My dad came first.
Okay.
And so there was a shortage of physical therapists, and they're both physical therapists. So instead of recruiting 2 PTs, they knew they could just recruit one and the other one would come. So my dad came first, and so then my mom came. They got married in Detroit. Same thing. Okay. Way too cold. Nigeria, the coldest they've ever seen is 60 degrees.
Oh.
My dad got to America his first winter in Detroit, -40.
Oh,
that is 100 degrees colder than anything he's ever, and snow. So like 60 degrees is one thing.
Yeah.
-40 with 3-4 feet of snow. The man was suffering.
No, that's hell. That's
right.
hell for a migrant.
So he was like, nope. I was born. They got married. I was born like a year and a half later. They said we're getting out of here.
Okay.
So we ended up in Virginia, and that was like
better.
That was better. There was a whole bunch of Nigerians in Maryland, D.C. area. So there was a lot of back and forth and knowing people there. But I tell people it's like, yeah, my upbringing. When people ask me about movies, music, I was having this conversation with someone yesterday. They're like, you don't know these classic TV shows? I'm like, you have to understand. I come from 2 Nigerian parents who came to this country and did not care about American culture when it came to like pop culture, that reference. So music, movies, I was like, I was listening to gospel music, Nigerian Christian music, and maybe some other church music. That was the music that was on in my house. Now movies, we got a little outside the box for movies, but as far as music goes, it wasn't until I got to late high school, college, where I'm like, all right, now I need to really go educate myself. But they're trying to uphold their cultural principles within us. Also, the faith part of it, but then also in America and trying to understand, like, how much, like, my dad was telling someone recently, it's like, yeah, in my culture, like, a younger kid, like, looking an adult straight in the eyes when they're talking to them is, like, a sign of disrespect. He goes, but I come to this country, and they're happy that, like, my kid is looking them in the eye to shake their hand because that's a sign of respect. And he goes, as a parent, how do, like, I have to figure out how to balance through that. And so it was just, I relate to that so deeply.
I think you get the question a lot in a lot of spaces, but especially opening a business, right? Especially a community-based business. Like, what's belonging? And I was like, I've never belonged. Like, that's not a concept that was fostered in my household. Because you, by definition, are already not going to belong because of the way that they had to assimilate or try to find. They were finding their robes at the same time as they're trying to preserve what they know to be the norm, safety, all the things. I was also raised ultra religious, like cult adjacent. So,
okay.
Mom, don't listen to this. She would say, no, it's not a cult, it's a sect, which means it's a cult.
But mine was not that. Mine was just good old regular Christian faith. Okay, so not the cult, not that.
We were deep in it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So my parents, I was born in Miami, and then she like refound God, and then we moved to South Dakota. Yeah, we drove. They packed us in this little car, and we drove 3 days across the country. I had never seen snow. I only spoke Spanish at this point.
South Dakota.
South Dakota.
What inspired that?
Well, my dad was going to become a pastor. First said yes. And so we were there for 9 months. There was a blizzard. We didn't know that you couldn't even put down your window while it was snowing. So, like, the window got stuck down. Like, that's how unprepared we were. Yeah. It was interesting. Then we moved back to Miami shortly. Yeah.
It's a quick 9 months.
Yeah. Quick. It was quick. One snow season, and they were like, no. The photos of my sister, I have a little sister, and I during that time are just like bundles. Like you can't even see us. This is just like all matching snow gear, layers on layers on layers. We moved back to Miami, and then from there we moved to Dunlap, Tennessee. Yeah, that was interesting. We were there for, I guess, from when I was 6 to 10, so 4 years, but that felt like a lifetime. We lived on a farm. Yeah. It was 200 acres. They went to be like missionary trainers. Again, vertical. And everyone left, and it was just us on this farm in Dunlap, Tennessee. There was like one supermarket and a Subway. There was a library.
Wow.
And the KKK rallied while we lived there. Like, it was just a really interesting microcosm of the South. Yeah.
Wow, I'm truly speechless right now. Wow.
So that's how, after 4 years there, my mom, who sounds like, my mom makes Sofia Vergara sound like she doesn't have an accent. Like, you know, like she had at that point a heavy, like, she had come when she was 16. Like, she very much was speaking only Spanish until like 3 years before that. So that was new to her. And so she had a rough time there. It was rough.
I would imagine.
They thought we were French, but we spoke Chinese. It was really interesting, like, as a 7, 8-year-old to be like, what is this? So after that, we moved to Charlotte. That's how we got here.
And found some stabilization.
I remember the first day, my aunt and uncle lived here, and so when the exit from Tennessee was quick, and it was like there was a very intense road rage situation, and my mom like broke. She's like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to live here. I don't want to feel like this. I would like to have some belonging. And so we had family here, and we had visited, and they were like, okay, let's try Charlotte. And so I remember we get here, and we're driving here one of the first weekends, and this poor woman, like, my mom's in the front seat, and she sees a cab, and she starts crying, and she's like, there's cabs here. And yeah, I've been here ever since.
The cab is what
The
made
cab
her...
sold her.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a story. Like, we haven't even gotten to the rest of your life, but that part right there, I would love to see the movie. Like, from Miami to South Dakota. I feel like this would be a very interesting movie.
My sister and I always say that we, you know, like in its heyday, we needed to like pitch Lifetime, you know?
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because my mom's life is even more interesting. Like, that's a whole story.
That is so...
Yeah. It's so... That's what I'm saying. Belonging is a foreign concept to me because, like you said, being raised in this very traditional home, very Latino home,
yeah,
you do miss out on a lot of the pop culture. And then we also had all the other circumstances. Mm-hmm. We were also homeschooled. So...
Really? For how long?
Oh, you want to know? Like, all the way till 11th grade for me.
You want to know something? I don't think I've said this on the podcast. I was homeschooled.
Stop.
I don't think I said this. And literally the last 10 seconds that you said, I'm like, do I want to put this on wax? And I should. There it is.
You saw my pod.
Like I was homeschooled from. I went to my church's school through 3rd grade, and then we moved like into the country, and like the drive was like tripled, and my dad was like, nah. And so from 4th grade through high school, it was...
Oh my God, same.
And I kept it under wraps. Like, I went to college and nobody knew.
No,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
I had a whole, like, choreographed dance. If I got into that conversation about, like, what school you went to, like, and it was so second nature. So, like, I lived Richmond, Virginia. I tell people Richmond. It was, like, the outskirts country of Richmond. Richmond, Fredericksburg.
Yeah.
Most people from Virginia know those two. So... if you were from Fredericksburg or above and you asked me where I went to school, I told them a small private school outside of Richmond. If you were from Richmond and you asked me where I went to school, I would say a small private school outside of Fredericksburg. The government did pay for it. It was privately paid by my parents, and I did go to school. And so that was literally it. And people, I deleted it on the Facebook. This is what people had like their high school and
Yeah.
like on Facebook. Deleted it. Like there was no, and so people for years were like, and they don't know who I grew up with, so
Yeah.
they can't ask them what school did
What's
this
going
guy go
on?
to. So it wasn't until the last week of college that I started telling people, and just watching people's minds just explode because they're like, but homeschoolers are, but you were, and just
Yes.
seeing them like just glitch. It
They
was like
do
my
glitch.
faculty met my mom, and they're like, so some of them came to my graduation party. My mom was like, I'm just so proud of him, from homeschooling. And they would look at me across the house in this party and go, you were homeschooled? We never knew. I said, yeah, because I don't want all the judgment or the questions that come. My wife,
Truly.
she's one of six, all of them homeschooled.
That
And I
was your reaction.
and I swore I was never gonna marry a homeschooler.
Stop.
And I got to college, and I was like,
He said, "How did this happen?"
seriously, I was like, God, of all the things, I said I did want a homeschooler, and then I got hurt.
Yeah.
But
No, it's a really interesting. That's a whole other subject.
Got
You
that?
could fill podcasts.
homeschooling by itself almost feels like a cult, like a whole separate.
That's what I'm
It feels
saying.
like
So
a
when
whole-
when she says no, it's not a cult.
There are a lot of them that I no longer keep up with on social media. Most of them, actually, probably almost all of them. Afterwards, I'm like, yeah, y'all are.
Yeah. No, but you see, my mom just should not listen to this podcast. I'm gonna put that. This is your last warning. Don't listen. It was quite literally just the two of us. Like, she took it very literally. Now remember, my mom came when she was 16, so she was not educated here. So we were just home. But then I went to I want to say it was 10th grade. Like, I remember at that point being like, I want to be where the people are.
Yeah.
Please, with the little fork in my hair. Like, please. And so they picked this school out in Union County. It was called Grace Academy. I shouldn't even say your name, so let's not give it. That gets cut. No, so it was this tiny school, and it was a college model, and it was really interesting because honestly, like, to go from no school to that, I don't really know that we would have assimilated as well anywhere else. If I'm honest, like, I think it would have been like, what is this?
So it was actually better for you.
Yeah, I think so. In so many ways, it was super tiny. You went 4 days a week, and it was just like college courses. Like, there was no lunch, there was nothing. It was just
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. And so I did that, and I got a scholarship to Queens, and so I got into Queens, did my freshman year there, and then transferred out to a small Christian school in Chattanooga, Tennessee, because my sister was going there. A lot of life things happened, and my parents were like, "This is where you should go." Anyway, I did a 2-year stint there, and I was like, "This is not for me." So I transferred again to Rollins in Florida, and that's where I finished up school.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that was like my short time away from Charlotte was college.
Okay.
So when I left Charlotte, let's put it in perspective. South End was
Nothing.
it was something. It just wasn't what it is now.
Sure.
Right? So it was a whole different community. Like, then I came back and it was what it is now. And I was like, this is
very
4
different.
years. What happened? Yeah, my first job was in South End, and they used to walk me in and out. And then I came back, and there was like, I don't know what's there now. I guess where Uptown Yoke now is.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it used to be
Love
like this.
Uptown Yoke.
Yeah, me too. Please, butter. Speaking of butter,
And their biscuit there, they're like the cornbread. Okay.
that sweet
Anyway.
potato waffle was.
Okay, got to stay on task.
Yes.
Okay,
So yeah,
there's something
came
I want
back.
to go back to that you
Yeah.
said that I think is actually like very interesting. Belonging.
Mm-hmm.
Not had this conversation with anyone, but I think it's a very interesting like topic.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me feels like that is why I love Charlotte the way that I do, because I feel like it's not a place that forces you to have to adopt a belonging to anything.
Yes.
And I appreciate that, because I think a lot of cities, think of these bigger cities, there's a set culture that's like existed for years and years and years.
It's cemented.
Right, it's cemented. And like you said, we're kind of a baby city here. And I think that's what I love about Charlotte, is that like you can come in, whatever your thing is, and there's not like a who is your crew, who do you run with? Like, it's like you can be whoever, you can run with nobody, you can run with everybody, you can run with just these small sets of people, but as far as belonging goes, it's not like I remember in college, like college was the most interesting place. I went to a huge school,
And where'd you go?
Virginia Tech. So
Oh,
it's 20,
wow.
yeah, like 30,000 students there now. I
Yeah.
think it was 28 when I was there. But you have the fraternities, sororities, athletic
Mm-hmm.
groups, different clubs, and like everybody belonged in a thing.
Yeah.
But I was involved in so much that by the time I got to like the last couple of weeks of senior year, it's like this very strange feeling of like I have a lot of friends, but I don't have a large friend group.
Yeah.
And it's like because I've got two friends in this group and two
Mm-hmm.
friends in this group and one in this one, and
I
they all
balance it
know
out.
each other because they know they're friends with me, but it's not like they all hang out
Right.
together. And so like graduation comes and everyone's like, who do you sit with for graduation? And I was like, I had a position on the school and I ended up getting to sit on stage for graduation, which
Okay.
was sick. But like in like leading up to that, I'm like, I don't know who I would have sat with on
Mm.
graduation day because I don't have a group. Like
Yeah.
I have a really close friend, our maid of honor,
Yeah.
and I graduated at the same time. So it's like I would have sat with her, like we were very close, but it's like she sat with some group that she was like, this is the best option I have, and like, but I wouldn't have won. Like who? So belonging is just like very interesting. Um, it's an interesting topic, but I think Charlotte makes it so you don't have to stress about it.
100%. I always say that. Like, again, I was always super artsy growing up. Like, because of all the things.
Yeah,
One of the main stabilities and the things that was nurtured was like, I don't know, explore a lot of things.
yeah,
So art was like for me. I was constantly the child doing the art constantly. It's the ADHD now that they call it. I called it at that time being just creative. And so I grew up doing that, but I wouldn't say that that was something that I even knew could be a career, could be anything, right?
yeah.
Like I just thought that was like a
A side
personality
hobby.
trait
Yeah,
almost. Like, oh yeah, I like doing that stuff. And so when I left for college, I would say that my life through high school and college would in no way have indicated that Charlotte would serve such an integral role
yeah,
to the person I am. But like looking back, it all makes sense.
yeah,
But I think that that is due to the city. Like I left, went to undergrad, I got pregnant, and I really struggled with that. Like I didn't want kids. It was a shock to me
yeah,
that like, what do you mean?
yeah,
What do you mean? And so coming back to Charlotte post all of that graduation, at this point I am married, and I was just super. I just remember being in Florida, and like all this has happened really quickly. Like I got pregnant, we got married like literally 4 days after. Like it was just quick. It was so much happened so fast, and that's like as a therapist, you look back and you're like, okay, so that's called trauma, right? Like that's what we call it.
yeah,
Too much, too fast. And it was just so fast. I remember being in Winter Park, Florida. That's where like I had finished college at Rollins, and I just remember crying and being like, I just want to go home. Like I just need to go home. And like Charlotte, being where I grew
yeah.
up, my parents had at that point moved from Charlotte, but I was like, no, I just need to go
There
home.
was something so
Right.
homey that
And I felt that there was something about the stability that this city could provide as a backdrop that I needed in my life. I was like, I just need to catch my breath. I need to be stable. At this point, I had applied and gotten into the master's program at Queens, and I was doing communications. And I was like, I just need like a reset, like quite literally.
yeah,
And I feel like home needs to be where I do that. So we moved back here, and I would say that the Charlotte that I had known was not quite the Charlotte I came back to. So it was really interesting to come back to home and be having to re-familiarize yourself with home.
yeah,
And it took me a minute. It took me a few years to like explore this side and that side. But the one thing that through all of that stood out is that Charlotte, I will die on this hill. It is what you make it.
mm-hmm.
It gives you back what you give it, and it's a very young city culturally.
Yep,
It still has its cultural reckoning that it's doing, and I think that the sad part of that is that a lot of voices have been overlooked, but the beautiful part is that there's still no established voice. And so I don't think that there's another city for me on like the East Coast, maybe at our size, that you could come and establish yourself as a voice as you can in Charlotte.
yeah,
It's eager for nurturing and
yep,
cultivation, and it's eager to give it back. And the unique ecosystem that we have of locals and people coming in, where else do you get that?
yeah. I can't remember who I don't know if it was on an episode or I was having this conversation with somebody. Charlotte doesn't have a group of elites who run the city.
Mm-mm. I
And
know
that's
people.
and that's very very different than I think a lot of cities.
I
Like
agree.
you can make your own voice. You have a following of people who love you and
Mm-hmm.
support your businesses and whatever you're doing, which I have seen very publicly. Right, and there's so many other people. Wesley has a following of
Yes.
people who love him and what he
Yes.
does, and they're going to ride for him. Like wherever
Mm-hmm.
he's at, they're going to pull up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is one of the really cool things about Charlotte, that there is not a group of, there's no, like, they always say there's like you got to get through the door.
Yeah.
There's no door here.
I
Like it's
don't
just it's
believe
a
that.
there's
Yeah.
not even like, I don't even know if there's an archway. It's like if you want to do something, make it. If you're good enough, you'll build a following, and then before you know it, you've got a following of. But then the thing I appreciate is your following doesn't have to be in direct conflict with somebody else's thing
No.
that they have going on.
No. They all feed into each other, which
Yes.
is I know that this is like a very online Charlotte discussion about it being cliquish or whatever. I wholeheartedly disagree, and I'll fight people on that. Like I
Yeah.
do not believe that. I understand that in some spaces, it can feel gate kept. In some art
That's the
spaces,
word I was looking for.
right?
Gate
Yeah,
cats.
in some art spaces, but I don't even think. I think when you get into the weeds of that, there's a lot of systems in play. But I think that we have some the people doing the work here are doing the work to elevate everyone, and I've seen that.
As long as you're like, what I have found, I joked with my friend. So we've been doing this podcast now, just short of a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
I am, when it comes to the media space, when it comes to Charlotte arts, when it comes to food and beverage, I am a nobody a year ago. And I'm not saying I'm a somebody now. I'm a little less of a nobody, but nobody, I didn't have a voice.
Yeah.
Like there was no, who is Shay? What does he
Mm.
do? I went to work, I hung out with my friends, that was it. And so in a year and some change now, this person introducing me to this person before I know it. Oh, you guys know each other? At one point, like, and I'm still gonna do this one day, I started to look, and it's like a web
It
of like
is.
these people all know each other. They connected me to these people. This ended up being a great episode, and because of that came this. And I'm like, as long as you're not a weirdo, and like,
Emphasis on
and
not
you,
weirdo.
like, right, as long as you're not a weirdo, but and you truly show up as your genuine self. I think that is a big thing.
Yes.
Like, not trying to be the cool person fitting in,
Mm-hmm.
but showing up. Michaela has invited me to things and introduced me to people that in my life I never would have had any reason to like just randomly run into them. But again, it's, and like she's a great example of someone that's
Yes.
like, whether it's visual arts or music, like just trying to put everybody on. And
Yes.
I love that about the city. I love that about how we can all show up as ourselves if you want to.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to be involved in any of this,
You don't have to.
you don't have
No.
to. And it's perfectly okay too. So
I think that's extremely unique about the city. I hope we don't lose it. I think it's
I
so.
don't think so, because I think at this point, all the people
Yeah, it's baked
like
in.
ourselves will never let that happen.
I hope
Because
so.
you also can't come in now like you couldn't. It'd be impossible, I think, now for a group that wants
Mm-hmm.
to come in and gatekeep things, because we've established and people have established their own infrastructure and their own networks that can be independent of whatever else is going
Yes.
on. And so it'd be really hard to come in and be like, all right, now we're going to be the people who control everything.
Yeah.
It's like,
We're gonna be the authoritarian.
yeah,
voice.
exactly. Like
No.
Wesley was like, I'm gonna do my event. TJ's gonna do his thing. You're gonna do
Yeah.
like, and so I just don't think there's space for it.
No, and truly, like I think that the word that always comes to mind, like ecosystem, right? Like I my journey to camp, like that's it's such a simple question, but such a complex
Yeah,
question.
let's go.
Because
Go ahead.
like the first, like I think I came to Camp North End before. I think Prism, Black Market, and Dub and Swap were the only three here at the time. It was before COVID.
Yeah.
And I think, again, I had just moved back. I was at that time finishing the communications masters, and I was toying with the idea of what to do next. I was working for my favorite job I've ever had. I was working for a startup magazine called Ditto Kids. It was an anti-racist education magazine for children, run by this amazing woman out of Maryland. Like it was amazing. And so I think I was doing a lot of school and then freelance for her.
Okay.
I had kind of gotten introduced weirdly to the small business world while in Florida, and kind of trying to find my bearings after having a kid and being 23, 24 at that time. And like, where do I find probably the elusive belonging?
Yeah.
But I think always voice. Like, where do I find or refine my voice? How do I reconnect with that? And so I'm pretty sure I stumbled upon camp through that. Like, I had just been looking around, like, well, how do I get to know Charlotte again? We needed places that a 3-year-old could run.
Yeah.
And so we walked around, and it felt at that point like you were kind of encroaching on something that you shouldn't. You were like, oh.
Should I be here? Is there a sign?
Yeah, I was like,
security going to tell me to leave?
Yeah, like, oh, you're there. Okay. Then Grow opened, and I think that was the first time that I hung out at camp. Okay. I remember coming for her opening day. At this point, I think I had started Limoncitos. I was, that was like my homewares brand, or like objects. I don't even know what you call it, but it was stuff like this. So that's what Limoncito started as. I had started that during my second master's. So since I didn't go to school for all those years,
you made sure you're getting it in now, huh?
She really had a desire for school. And so that's when I had gotten into the therapy master's. This must have been right at COVID or right after COVID. I don't remember. Maybe it was 2021. I came and was just fascinated. I was like, this is beautiful. It's so cool. Whatever. Didn't think twice of it.
Yeah.
I was like, that'd be crazy if I could like wholesale to her. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? And I think I dropped like a little basket of stuff off to her. And Jules, being like the very energetic and generous person that she was like, yeah, just send me your like spring line or your catalog line. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Did not have
Didn't have one.
No. Went home, bought every fruit I could from Compadre, and I was like, we have to make one. So my mom, my son, and I are like in the backyard, like, we have to make a spring line. And so like I'm shooting all this shit. I'm just like, it has to happen. Drop it off, and that was it. Like, she was my first wholesaler, and that was like huge for me. And so we kept coming back to camp from that, and like seeing that cultivated. At that point, Garrett from Hoga reaches out, and I don't know how Garrett knew me. Like, somebody else in a room that I was not in had spoken my name to this man, and he was like, hey, we're opening this concept, Locate. It's like a collective. I'd love to pick your brain. We'd love to have your stuff in here. And so from there, I meet Alyssa, and from meeting Alyssa, then I meet this person. And I don't know, 3-4 years later, I get a text from Jules in February, and she's like, hey, I don't know if you know Tesho, but he asked for your number. Can I give it to him? I didn't know Tesho, but we had definitely been in
the same
spaces because we both love food. So I'm like, yeah, sure. He likes butter croissants. I like butter croissants. Let's go. He texts me, and he's like, do you mind, have some time? You want to walk over? So he walks over, walks me through like the work live, and we get to talking, and it turns out that Tesho played soccer in Orlando.
Uh-huh.
While I was in Orlando, and as we're talking, we stumbled upon this because our definitions of community and walkable cities is the same. Because Winter Park was one of our first experiences of this. And so I say that to say an interaction 3, 4, 5 years ago,
it led to you now. If
you do that little domino effect, right? It leads to this. And I'm like, I don't think a work live would work for me. I have a kid. I have a giant dog. The 3 of us would not fit in one of these. I said, but if you have a camper. And he's like, we actually have one left. And here we are.
No way.
Yeah. So it's just, I think that my story, I always say, is to me why I won't leave Charlotte. I was that kid that grew up here, being in Union County. I was like, I'm going to New York. Goodbye, the South. You'll never see me again. And to make the choice to come back and stay has been huge.
Yeah.
Because I do believe in the city that deeply. I believe that there is no other space where I would want to cultivate my voice and use my voice and figure out what my voice is than here. Because there's still a platform to do that here.
Tesha said Charlotte allows us to make the choice to call this place home. We have the choice here.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about La Bodeguita.
Yes.
Which I've been practicing because I want to say it right.
Great.
But another quick question for you. Food. Where do you like to eat in Charlotte?
I love food. I will say, I think that Charlotte, just as she's finding her voice in a lot of ways, I always say, I think of Charlotte as a teenager. Like, in my opinion, like, developmentally, that's who she is. She's figuring out her stuff. She's rebelled a little bit sometimes. She's
I'd say
quiet
maybe a
sometimes.
freshman in college.
Maybe a little bit more, right? Now, like,
They
she's,
got some independence and like
yes,
established like an adult,
a
like
little bit.
technically an adult,
Yeah.
but like the world doesn't see you quite
She
as
just
the
started
adult.
drinking, maybe.
Not
Like,
even like dabbled, like had a sip of
house
her first.
parties.
Yeah, house
Yeah.
parties. Yeah,
She's a house party.
basement parties.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And so I think that our food is both rich and rooted and also young.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But one thing I will say I do not tolerate is food slander in Charlotte.
no. I think we have great food.
And not just that, we have great chefs
That
in
part.
Charlotte that, and people are like, the food here sucks. And granted, I was just in New York a couple months ago. I understand the people from New York coming here comparing it, but you can't compare us to a place that's got a history that's 3, 4, 5 times the length of our history
Yes.
here and has been able to develop and cultivate its own style.
No, and that's why I always say, like, she is a teenager or a freshman, right? Because, like, she is still quite literally learning how to platform the people that she has. But I do not believe that we have a lack of talent.
Oh, absolutely not.
I believe we have a lack of space that is financially accessible
Ooh, speak on it.
for chefs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that we have a system, an ecosystem that rewards it at the level that it should be yet. But I think even in the last 5 years, we made great strides that way.
Absolutely.
We have Top Chef filming here. We have a Michelin conversation. We have, like, these are, not that that determines, I don't think an award determines
Right.
the strength or the greatness of cities or food, because a lot of times we know that those awards themselves have, like, injustice and racism and all of this
Yeah.
wrapped in. But I do think that, like, the recognition, it's not that the things to be recognized are not here. The recognition might just not have come yet.
Yeah. And like, I mean, how many James Beard
So
nominees
We're
nominees do we have?
sitting at Camp Northwood, so we
Right.
can't not talk about Leigh and Louise.
Like, right. Like, they are, like, Uptown Yoke, like,
Yes.
Greg and Sabrina are just, I mean, they're fantastic.
Fantastic. Justin from Lorem Ipsum.
Yeah, that's someone that we would love
Born
to
and-
have on. Like, right. Like,
Call
that's-
Justin now, please. Justin needs to get on a podcast.
But yeah, like,
Um,
those are, like, that's what I mean. Like, we have, and not just them, but, like, on the west side, I don't know if you've been to a Restaurant Constance.
Yes.
Chef Sam Dimon. Like,
Custom
insane.
Shop, what Andres is doing
Like,
at Custom
there's-
Shop.
there's
Hello,
so much.
Uncle. Please.
There's so much
Have
here.
you
Okay.
had Hello Uncle yet?
No.
Oh
where's
my
that?
god. Okay. This is the best food in Charlotte. I'll stand by that. Hello Uncle. And I do think that El Veneno is doing some of the, like, I'm so excited to see Kimmy's growth in this city. I think
Okay.
she will get the recognition.
So
as
her,
well.
her restaurant is...
El Veneno, it's food truck. So, okay, I am going to preface this. As I said, how I knew Tesho, we both go to a lot of food
Yeah.
pop-ups. I am a food pop-up girl. I love a pop-up. I think the best food being made in Charlotte is in pop-ups, in my opinion.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. I think that because of sometimes the lack of infrastructure financially,
Yeah.
all the things, I think some of our best food is being made in these more creative ways in a pop-up structure.
Yeah.
Like Hello Uncle is some of the best. You can't even describe it. Asian food, but that feels simplistic. It's
Okay.
amazing.
Fusion
Mike-
of some sort?
No, not so much fusion. Just it's stuff that we might not know as Southern Americans,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just dishes that you're educating me while I'm also eating this.
Okay.
And it's just so genuine. It's so authentic. So Mike and Dre are doing amazing. Dre is Mike's fiance. She is the manager of Mariana's Tapas. She also did like all of the pastries for Custom Shop for a while. Mike comes from a long family of chefs.
Okay.
So they're amazing. You should try them. They're at Burial right now for like a little residency.
Okay.
Who else? El Veneno. Kimmy's amazing. Kimmy's a force, and I can't
Okay.
wait to see her recognized as that on a large level. But she's amazing. She does tacos. She has a food truck as well.
Okay.
There's just so many great. That's like my two favorites right now. But there's so much great food being done in non-traditional ways.
Here's where I don't think this is a hot take. My take on the pop-up scene and when it comes to food in Charlotte. So bear with me. I'm gonna get through it.
I'm ready.
I enjoy the food when I can find it. And this now leads back to something you said earlier where I wish that it was easier and more affordable for these
Mm-hmm.
places to get
Space.
brick and mortar or spaces.
Yes.
Because one thing that drives me craziest, and this isn't a Charlotte thing, this is in life, when I want something and it's closed or I don't know where to find it, it makes me so upset to the point where it's like, you know what? Now I'm just not even gonna look you up again because the one
Stop.
time I wanted you, where I made sense for you to be open, you weren't open, and that's a me thing,
That's a you
and I need to
thing.
work on that. Like I acknowledge that I need to work on
Yeah.
that. That is a me problem, but that
But
also is
you're not alone in that criticism, though.
right,
Where we're sitting
right, exactly.
has gotten that criticism a lot. My counterpoint is that two things. Number one, I do believe that Charlotte is too expensive when it comes to real
Absolutely.
estate and experimental concepts. I think that is what makes camp so unique.
Yes.
In their, like, I could not finish this without saying, like, the way that they bend over backwards to help their tenants when they can is unlike anything that I think is found in real estate in Charlotte. That being said, though, like, unless you have capital, you got to have a certain build and tolerance for fear to be able to do that. And even then, you might have all those things and not your name just might not have been spoken in that network.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know if that's gatekeeping, like we talked about. I don't feel that, but there is a lack of infrastructure to help someone start from point A to brick and mortar.
Yeah, and that's fair. And that's it is something, and I will still say it's something that has frustrated me, but something that like the more I do this, like I selfishly get a lot out of doing this because the more I hear this, the more I hear the real, I won't say plights, but struggles of like small business owners of all sorts. I'm not a small business owner in the sense that like this is technically a business for tax purposes, but apart from that, like I have a daytime job that like I enjoy. So the more I do this, the more I'm hearing like, yeah, the affordability piece of it. And so that's where like my heart is starting to soften of like, yeah, like, it can't.
And also time. So think of it this way. Like, we all saw the magazine article.
Well, hold on. Okay, we'll get there. Hold on. We'll get there. We'll get there.
But we can't be open if you are the sole owner of a small business, right? Like, I'm a therapist. I have to do that for my personal life. I gotta go pay rent in Elizabeth every single month. And so I have to do that. So if I open a small business, which I have, how am I open 7 days a week, all hours of the day? If it's just me.
Right.
Now, if I try to hire too early, I dilute my brand. You cannot financially make it sometimes. So am I supposed to not open one altogether? Or do I try my best to fill the gaps, right? So, like, we've tried to find creative solutions. But I think that is those pain points of, like, when we talk about small business, local business, mom and pop owned, like, that term is so different than a small business like Jenny's or Two Scoops, right?
Absolutely.
Like, they have scaled. There's investors.
Jenny's isn't a small business.
Exactly, but she started at that,
back in the day, somewhere.
When you look at that trajectory of, like, small business to national, or like this brand where you have shops everywhere that you can walk in on set hours, or Two Scoops at a smaller level, right? A lower, more local level. You say, okay, it takes quite a bit of time to get there to be able to staff to the point to be open 7 days a week.
It takes time, and again, referencing, I got a lot in our interview with Tesha, but like he's like, I think this might have been after, but like, you have to, camp gives people the opportunity to fail, and camp can't turn into this powerhouse if we don't see what works. And like, this is one of the few places in Charlotte where I appreciate the way they have things priced so people can see, is this just a hobby that I try to turn into a business that maybe just needs to stay as a hobby? Or is this one that I can scale now and transition to that full time? And so I agree. It's one of those things that I'm learning.
I would say camp is an incubator.
Yeah.
Like, I know that that's not a term that they've taken upon themselves, but that's just how I view it. Like, very much so an incubator of ideas, people, concepts, all of it.
It's like it's almost like developmental startup for folks that, like, you think startup normally in terms of like finances, and this is in a way because the finances that they have affordable spaces for people to be able to try stuff out.
Adjacency. Like, I would not be the person sitting here today without the interactions that my life has had with like the people at Black Market.
Yeah.
Like Will, Carla, damn it. Like they have shaped how I view how to find or establish or how to use my voice. What
Yeah.
spaces to use my voice in Charlotte. How would you have access to that level or caliber of artist outside of this little
Yeah.
experiment we have here?
And there's
What do you
nothing.
mean I can walk into Black Market at any given time and be like, hey,
What
what do you think about this?
Yeah, like shoot an idea to him and see.
Should we do platonic speed dating?
And then you guys did it, like you said, you guys spun that up in 5 days. Like that's insane.
That
like,
is, and that would not, I believe, happen anywhere else.
No, I agree with that. So we haven't even said.
I'm so sorry.
No. This is on me. We haven't even officially said your business name here or like
Well,
how
you
you
said
got
it, you
here.
pronounced it well.
Yeah. So La Bodeguita.
Yeah.
What is it? How did you come up with the idea? What is the purpose of it?
Okay, so La Bodeguita means little bodega, like quite literally. We came up with it. As I said, I'm a therapist, and so in my work, I kept seeing that people were lonely. I would say I graduated in 2021. I got fully licensed last year. So, going through internship through COVID, getting into the workforce in everyday therapy post COVID, and fully licensed last year. That was a long journey. You had to do a lot of hours as a therapist, and through that, I kept finding the same consistent theme. My clients were very isolated. They were very lonely. And that isolation and that loneliness was leading to all these underlying things.
Yeah.
So now you're having to come see me 1 time, 2 times a week. Where in reality, like talk therapy is a beautiful tool, but I think that we've centered it as the end all be all. Well, really it is just one more tool.
Yeah.
And that it's not an accessible tool for everyone. And I would say historically, like in marginalized communities, especially being first gen, we didn't believe in therapy growing up.
You better pray about it.
You better open that Bible.
Pray about it.
You're not sad. You're missing God. So,
You're not sad.
No.
You're missing God.
Yes. So art was my therapy. And
Okay.
it took me a long time of therapy, traditionally, sitting across from her crying and her being like, I don't know what else to do. Boo, we've got you on Prozac. We've got you in therapy. You're, whatever. Like, start making things. And so I started making things again. And that's how Limoncitos was born. Limoncitos means little lemons in Spanish.
Okay.
The theme of little, right? And it kind of came from my mom used to always say, oh, you got to make your lemonade. So this went wrong, whatever, make your lemonade. So Limoncitos was kind of like my ode to that. And it started through COVID.
And that was you making things like
this,
things like this here.
Objects, like little homewares.
Okay.
Yeah, it's with terrazzo. So it's the act of breaking down the same medium and then reinserting it, and then you sand it. So all of that is sanded to expose. Lots of work. I loved it. I did that through Charlotte. I did pop-ups. So I did the pop-up circuit, My first pop-up was at Cavette. Kimmy found me on Instagram and was like, hey, you should do this. And from there, a year and a half later, I was selling with Madewell, like as part of their Hometown Heroes program. It was amazing. And I would say Madewell was the first time and the first opportunity I had to do a workshop. And I was hooked. I was like, this is amazing. Like, if I could just do this, because my favorite therapeutic intervention is group therapy.
Okay.
And art. Like,
You
those are
love
the
the
two
art, yeah.
things that I was at Wake Forest, like, talking about. And how can I do this? And they were all like, well, I don't know. You would have to kind of create it on your own. We don't have a board for art therapists here.
Okay.
So it was just like, I don't know, you got to put it together somehow. So I started using art, and especially after that workshop, seeing how art with a wellness pillar paired together was almost like a gateway drug to wellness. Like, and the concept of wellness in the way that interested me, which was not, I'm going to sit here and prescribe you something. I'm going to sit here and tell you what to do.
Yeah.
But more so, I'm going to sit here and help you cultivate yourself. So I always say that the core of the brand is, can you connect to others? Can you reconnect to yourself? Like, those two pillars. Because I think when we do that, we show up as better humans, more well humans, more well communities. We can see each other better when we're coming from that space versus like this broken up space. And so I would say that from there I started Craft Club. Fresh squeezed Craft Club, because your girl loves a theme. So limoncitos, the orange, the citrus, fresh squeezed. And that was kind of this idea that what would happen if we were able to give people an hour or two of access to art supplies and a wellness pillar once a month. So that started last year. the beginning of this year actually, and then Tesho reached out in February and was like, "Hey, you should come do something here." He said, "We're spiritually aligned." I said, "Wow, big words," but I agree. Like I love camp and have this has been my third place. So from there, I kind of marinated on it, and I was like, limoncitos at this point, I had gotten divorced. Like I wasn't making really. Like I had lost the access to that when I moved into an apartment, and so I kind of was like, I've seen this thing in New York. It's a craft cafe. I'm super jealous. It's one of those times where I'm like, why can't we have nice things? And I was like, could we do it here? Like, what if we just tried it in a very non traditional way out of this airstream? Like, it'll be a pop up essentially. Um, and then I can, yeah, try that. And so we started with that. And shortly after, like, a lot of things shifted quickly in my personal life. It was like the world was just waiting for that alignment. And within like 2 months of that, I went from a group practice that I was at to contracting, like as a I don't know whatever you call it, W-9 or whatever. So that means that I had like a lot more flexibility,
Okay.
and so I was able to bring the therapy into here. And so quickly from there, we saw that people love the workshops, they love the events, but Craft Cafe itself needed more space because like how can you have people in here weather-wise? And so at that point, Jane was moving. I was like, Tesho, it's raining all the time. What can we do? And he was like, well, there's a space. And then it was quick. I think we negotiated for like a month or two, but it was a quick turnaround from like, could this live over there to where we are now? And so now the therapy will stay in here, and then this will be available for private like use, private rental. But La Bodeguita will essentially live in the space next to Black Market, and that's a craft bodega. So you come and we have arts and crafts, and you get to shop it like a bodega.
Okay.
You get like an hour and a half of access during bodega hours. For the flat fee of like $27, you get to make whatever you'd like during that time. It's like having your own personal craft store at your fingertips. And the goal of that one is really to reconnect you to that curiosity and that intuition that you had as a kid, right?
Oh.
That trust. Then we also do artist led workshops. And so that is like just the most beautiful gift because, again, being at camp, we're surrounded by so many beautiful artists.
Yeah.
And so we've been able to partner with them to create that ecosystem of like, how can we help you have workshop space that is accessible and also pays you? Like, art should pay you. And so we're able to do that. And that also gives the customer the opportunity to have access to these artists that maybe they don't even know that exist here. They're only used to seeing their work on murals or in the mint or stuff like that. But now you're getting to learn how to journal from Carla, or you're learning how to cut a lino cut from Will, or you're learning how to decorate a cake from Haley from Wheatberry. So like, how can we create a different ecosystem there as well, and resume points for that artist as well? Because now you might not know you actually like teaching. Oh my God, that's a whole other thing. And then we also have community events like the one we had last night, where we do, again, we're centering wellness in a concept. How can we help you nurture yourself and connect? So,
Michelle, you have created the answer to the problems that you had.
Yes.
And you've created the solution not just for yourself, but for so many other people.
Yeah, that's kind of, I always say, it kind of started because I needed the thing, and then...
And now you're doing the thing for others. Like, you liked the workshops, and now you're giving a space for others. That is insane. Like, that's so cool. Like,
Thank you.
That's something to be so proud of. I mean, yeah, like to have wanted something and now to be able to be that for others, and now you're changing other people's lives, and you don't know where that goes, but like that is. And then you opened La Bodeguita technically in
June,
and you've already moved.
Yeah,
it's not even 6 months yet.
Not even 6 months.
I also want to give you a very unique badge, Queen City Unleashed badge here. You are by far the youngest business guest we have had, and I don't. And down the road, I'm sure we'll have people that are like newer in their businesses. But as we've been trying to grow, it's like platforms. It's like businesses we really believe in, people we really believe in, and platforms that we really believe in. That to me is like, as I'm establishing this brand, I want people to know, like, okay, it's not just he's not just interviewing
Yeah, yeah.
everybody for the sake of interviewing everybody. It's like, no, there's a story there and
There's
something
a
real,
curation.
right? Exactly, and like that's something like I care so much about because I want it to be respected, but I want people to know like these are actually really cool people you should know. You broke the code there as
Thank
normally I'm
you.
like younger than a year, not really interested. Like I don't really want to talk to them,
Yeah,
not yet. And it's not that I don't love what they're doing, but like it's also tough. Like sometimes people aren't around,
it's tough.
and but
And
for
you
you
never
it's like,
know.
but
Like,
like a lot of people know you, but also like you have this magnetic pull from so many people that I've even seen and been following, and it's like, no, she's cool. And then when we want to do a series about Camp North End, I'm like, this is one of the shining stars of Camp North End. Like, how
thank
would
you.
you not like? How can I not include you? So it's
Thank you.
I'm very happy for you, like everything you've built. I
I'm
think it's
honored.
awesome.
Thank you. I'm very honored. It's scary. I always say that. Like,
Absolutely.
but I think, when you look at all the business, all the people I admire in Charlotte, they always are like, yeah, you do it scared. Like, that's if it wasn't scary.
You're scared because you
Justin,
care.
yeah, Justin literally always says this. I go in there and I'm like, I'm scared. And he's like, if you weren't, I'd be worried.
Yeah.
Like if you weren't scared. And so when I look to the people who I admire in business and in curation and creation, um, I feel honored to be in good company. I feel honored to have good compasses and lighthouses. And I feel appreciative of that. So even in the fear, you're like, okay,
Yeah, you
that's
got
still
it.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's, I still get some nerves sometime before shooting episodes, and
Mhm.
like this isn't a stage. Like, and I don't have a problem public speaking, but to me, it is just like I've, in a good way, become just so obsessed with. These are incredible people. I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to tell their stories the right way, and I want to make sure it's a fun conversation, that it's great. And it's like I get so paranoid about it right up until then we go.
Yeah,
Then I get in the car, and it's like, yeah, that was good.
that was good.
That was good. But like I'm nervous because I care. And then when something good happens, I get like this Camp North End series
Hmm.
was truly just an idea of like, hey, how do we tie something together? Because right now it's been episode after episode, and it's
Okay.
great. It's like, but is there a way to get people excited about a topic
Yeah.
if I'm able to find people? And so that I knew I'd reach out to you. I think I reached out to you first. By the time I got to Tesho, I booked Tesho before even having the idea for the series. So
Wow.
when we were shooting, I'm like, hey, by the way, this is going to be a part of a series
Yeah.
now. And he was like, oh, that's sick. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
And so being able to do that, Tipsy Pick will be the last one.
Yeah.
Just like
You also
three,
gotta talk to the boys from Surefire.
we were Tesho. I've been twice.
You gotta talk to someone from Black Market.
I've been twice now since
Oh my god.
Tesho
Did he
told
take
us.
you to have the chicken and butter sandwich?
No, I went by myself this past week.
Obviously, because butter was in the name. I was like, yes.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
it's so good.
I had to put myself on like an actual discipline guide. I can't go in. I was going. We went. We had it twice in one day here, and then we went to Lorem Ipsum, and then we like, whatever, got it delivered there. Like that's when I knew I had a problem.
Yeah, I was about to say
I said I need
respectfully.
an intervention.
Respectfully, you that might have been an issue.
Yeah, yeah, no, an issue. Like I had to ban myself. I
So
literally.
I'm already excited about this series with Camp North End, and already like I could see myself doing part 2 of
Yes,
this,
I
like
love
because there's
that.
just so many great voices here.
Mhm.
Speaking of Camp North End, though, we were talking about this a little bit before, and we are gonna do this the right way. You don't have to say anything crazy, but
I think I said all the crazy things in the comments.
from the article that came out some months ago about Camp North End and Camp North End not and all the woes in quotation marks of Camp North End, I was surprised because to me, I believe publications like this in places that are growing and trying to find their ways should be encouraging and uplifting. And I feel like when you put stuff out like that, it's damaging for reputations for what people are building. And I don't think it credits the folks like yourself, Tesho, others that are really trying to build something special here. So that surprised me, caught me off guard. But then I go to the comments because the comments is where all the
Obviously,
action
that's
is.
what we.
And then there you are. I felt like I could have read your comments in all caps. Like I felt like there was a megaphone. I remember telling my wife, I'm like, she is getting them. But and we don't need it so much about them, but I just want to want you to talk about like why you felt like it's so important in that moment to stand up for Camp North End to be a voice for Camp North End. Like people, like, and it's not just the comments, but it's the people commenting on your comments, liking your comment, like supporting you, and like, yes, girl, go. And it's like that made me like I respected you and knew you. That truly made me a fan of you
Oh,
because
thank
I'm
you.
like to use your voice, your platform in this way to stand up for something you really believe in means a lot to me. Just when
Mm-hmm.
people, when humans do that the right way, I gain a lot of respect for them.
Thank
So one, thank you.
you.
But like, what was that moment for you? And again, we don't. It doesn't have to be
No,
spicy, but just trying to
no.
understand your love
I don't think
for.
my takes on camp are not spicy. I do think that growing up in Charlotte, having been here for a minute, when I hear people talk about Camp North End, there's always a larger, in my opinion, again, this is just
Yeah.
my opinion. I think there's a subtext to the conversation that is always present that we have not quite addressed. And until we address that, we're not going to be able to have an actually productive conversation around development and whatever criticisms people have. I think that when people talk about Camp North End, it's super, super racist most of the time. I
Interesting.
think people's perception of the area, which has, I mean, a lot of Charlotte is being gentrified,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And so we can't sit here and be like, oh, this is not part of that. Like, yes, a huge development coming into a space that was historically like marginalized. It was this whole area. North Charlotte has historically kind of been like West Charlotte,
Yeah.
which is a black and brown community,
Yep.
right? And so I always say that there's a really interesting case study, I think, which we'll be doing. I don't know, whoever the new historian is down the line,
Yeah.
right? I think what's his name now, Tom something, that writes a lot about like Charlotte history and housing. But Charlotte has a long and complex history of racism intertwined with how we zone, develop, all
Yeah.
of it, right? Like from the placement of our corridors, like our highways, coming in and being through black and brown
Yep.
neighborhoods because they don't think that it's worthy of being walkable. Like that space that's not needed to, like the deed in Plaza saying that no marginalized groups, in nicer terms, can even own land there. Like the deeds in Plaza still, like in Dilworth, like when people talk about why that area is so affluent, it's because it was constructed that way. You weren't allowed to own, like people like you and me could not own houses there. Um, the tree canopies, all of it, right?
Yeah.
The food deserts, all of it is a sign, in my opinion, of the racism that we have been steeped in the South. And so I think that a lot of times being in the community, having, when I was, that article caught me at the time that I was transferring from a group practice, which was in Dilworth, to here. And having to have the conversation with my clients, hey, I'm moving to Camp North End, and seeing some people's response, seeing the larger response around the conversation around Camp North End always being like, is it safe over there? Is it a lot of unspoken things?
Yeah.
The community, the people who run events out there, they're just, it's kind of loud. It's kind of this. It's kind of that. And so my frustration with the Charlotte in that comment was that a lot of that article felt steeped in some of the tropes, right? Not saying that the article itself was racist,
Yeah.
but the tropes that have developed around the conversation, around this space and this area, and the way that they have chosen to develop it, the people that they have chosen to give opportunities to,
Yeah.
it came through. I think unintentionally, maybe intentionally, I don't know. And so in that, I believe that we need to have a larger conversation around like what ethical development looks like. I don't think that anyone has it figured out quite yet, but I do think that camp is trying.
They're trying the hardest.
They're trying the
In
hardest,
Charlotte,
in my opinion.
they are trying the hardest at anyone else.
And so I give credit to that for Tesho. I give massive amounts of credit to Varian. I give massive amounts of credit to Jalita. I do not believe that Camp North End would be what it is today without Jalita's presence in shaping the events that have come here, the community, to make this space still serve as a third place. You can come to Camp North End and not spend money. That is rare anywhere in Charlotte. They have free parking. You can bring your own book. You can sit here all day and no one's going to tell you to get out. Like, that is unheard of. And that's a testament, in my opinion, whether by thought, orchestration, or just the community saying, no, you can't have all of it, right? Like, it's a very unique microcosm of those things. So for an article to come out with a magazine that's based here, it was shocking to me, the oversight, the lack of care that was in that moment given, and the platform that was used to speak on everyone here in that name. Because I do believe I firsthand, not only myself, but everyone here from staff down to tenants, we all deeply believe in what it could be, and not just what this space could be, but what showing this model could be for the rest of Charlotte.
Absolutely.
What this could mean for the West Side, what this could mean for further up or down or this way or that way. So I think that when we have a true conversation around what a lot of people say about Camp North, and we have to reckon with the fact that like not everything needs to look like South End to be considered a success.
Oof.
I went to Denver, Colorado last year, and I remember being in a certain area of Denver, and it felt like South End. I said, well, what is this? Why is there a Barcelona? Why is there this? Why is there that? And I think it's because we don't, and that's no knock to those businesses, but for a city to have a healthy ecosystem and financial ecosystem and a diverse ecosystem, you have to have corporations, the smaller Jenny's kind of small, but then the actual local business. A local business is not just a small business. That's completely different.
Yeah.
And I think we need a better education on what local means, how we can actually show up, support that. Because really, the cities that we love to visit, the ones that we all aspire to, the New York, the Atlanta, the this, the that, they have local ecosystems that they've deposited into.
Yeah.
And so
they've taken the time.
Right. So to come and use your platform out of nowhere to come and discredit the people doing that here for kind of like a hot take, I found to be just super harmful. Because you do see the sales drop. You do see all of that. Like, a lot of my friends are business owners here. And you see that. And the aftermath of that, and that being one of the first things that comes up when you search Camp Northern, it does really affect that business owner. And so I think that's unfortunate. That's why I was so heated.
When we talk about sharing the voices of Charlotte, this is exactly what we mean. Like, this is like a voice of, in the series, the voices of Camp North End. Like, this is a voice. And this is the stuff that I really care about, and that I think as our city grows will hopefully help us shape the city, that you hear the voices pushing back against the systems and the historic infrastructure that's there, and shouting from the mountaintops that this is not what we want, and this is not what we will stand for, and not just shout it, but also being a part of the solution. So kudos. Kudos to you.
What is it? I don't remember. There's someone who originally said this quote who was not Barack Obama. It was someone else. But I think it was made.
Yeah.
Our generation definitely probably came into it the most, at least for me, by where he was like, we are the change that we seek. And I think about that a lot, because I think we get lost on that, on, like, big level.
Yeah.
But, like, on small level, I really, truly, truly believe that, like, you, me, you, everyone, we keep waiting for the thing.
And we just have to be it.
You just be the thing.
Yeah.
It's scary, it's hard, but we're in a city that I'm so grateful that welcomes it.
Allows you to be the thing.
Yeah.
All right. We've been having too much fun here. I want to ask you about, like, the reflection and the growth and everything that you have had in your own life. What would you say? Well, let's start with this. From where you are now, whether it's personal, professional, your personal life is so interesting. Again, I'll help you write the movie if you want. But to you now, Michelle now, just expanded a business. 2-part question. What would you go back and tell your 16-year-old self? One as the flex, and then the other one as the encouragement.
The flex. I mean, I don't know. I think the flex is that I get to play with arts and crafts for a living, essentially. I literally the other day was thinking that when I walked in, and I was just like, when you get wrapped up in starting something, so you might not do the thing as much anymore, right? But, like, I walked in and I saw that space, and, like, I don't know, I went back through my photos. I think there was this photo from Charleston like 6 years ago, and there was, I don't know if you saw my nemesis, the cash wrap in there, in that new space.
Okay.
We fought. I decided to tile it. It was this whole thing. It was a 4 or 5 day saga. Broke all my nails. But anyway, I went back and I looked, and there was, like, this picture in my phone from 5 or 6 years ago that was, like, the same style. And I was like, oh, I guess that's where my brain saw this thing from. And it made me pause and think that, like, a lot of that space, or this moment in my life, it feels like, number one, the freest that I've ever been to just be, right? Like grow into, as I said, growing up religious, in all these boxes, to be belonging to myself. right? And we
Yeah.
talk to belonging. So I think that that's the flex. I think
Okay.
I finally belong to myself. And I have been able to create a space that belongs to me that reflects that. That reflects like 6-year-old Michelle. If she saw this Michelle, she'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like,
Tracks.
yeah,
Yeah.
it tracks. You craft now and you craft then and you do it up
Yeah.
this, this level. And that's the inspiration, like the encouragement too, right? I think a lot of my youth was spent imagining something different, imagining what I would do when I had my own space and voice and time. And a lot of my 20s looked really confusing because it felt like I wasn't going to have that shot. Like I had made choices or things had happened that I felt like should be seen as derailments.
Yeah.
But then you go back and you look, and I said this the other day, but I was like, I don't know that this Michelle would be here without all of that. Like, there's a huge argument to be made that without getting pregnant at 22, would this have happened?
Yeah.
Would I have known? Would I have understood?
How different could it have
How
been?
different could it have been? And I think sometimes we romanticize what it could have been when really it could have been completely worse.
Yeah.
And so I always say that, like, the things that challenge you, the things that hurt, those things that sometimes you sit there and you're like, oh, I wish that hadn't happened, or I had made a different choice. Like, it all weaves into who you are. And so, like, we shouldn't pull at that string.
Yeah.
Like, be grateful for all the strings that have, I don't know, come together to make this life, this fiber that is today. So I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it does.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay.
That was your question answered. Okay, so where can people find you? Socials, all the
here
things.
all the time. You can find socials, Limoncitos or La Bodeguita on Instagram.
You say it so much prettier than
No.
I do. So much prettier than I do.
Well, so Bodega, I should touch on that before it ends. Bodega, the name, when I was looking for, like, again, well, is it Limoncitos? I don't even know. I feel like people now, like, that's its own thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but, like, it's a thing. And so the name Bodeguita came from, I started doing research into, well, what is this? A third place of connection point, the connection to self, the connection to culture, the connection to others. And, in the back of my head, I was like, I'd love for it to be in Spanish, and sit in that proudly. And so the Limoncitos brand has always been very produce, very adjacent to that. And I kind of started thinking of, like, okay, what is that? Mercado? No, I don't like that. So Bodeguita or Bodega came up. Bodegas, apparently, don't quote me on this, but from the history I saw, no alternative facts here, but apparently when migrants came over, Cuban specifically, my dad's Cuban, but then really made famous or made to be what they are today by Puerto Ricans in New York, a bodega became the landing spot for a lot of migrants. It was that first place that they could come into in this new American space.
That felt homey.
They spoke their language. They had their food. Probably butter. We don't know, but we'll say that. But they could speak to people who looked like them, talked like them, understood what that was. And then it became like a community space because they would hang out. They would play dominoes. They would drink. They would, it was a community hub. And so for me, that's the highest goal of this space, is that if we could live up to that name in any way, that it be a community hub for connection or reconnection to yourself and to the other. Like, that's what the name stands for. And then we have to put the ita because everything has to be small and cute. So, Bodeguita.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can find us at La Bodeguita.
Okay.
On Instagram, TikTok apparently now, because that's a thing that the kids want.
Mm-hmm. Trust me, I'm going through that right now.
So here we are. And then the website. Yeah, so that's where you can find us.
Okay.
I post events. We have a monthly calendar that goes out sometime within the first month, a week of each month. You can find us there. Our community partnerships, they're always posting about it too.
Anything you have coming up?
We have a whole calendar this month. The most exciting thing we have coming up, we have Craft Panada.
I saw that.
Will, my favorite person from Big Worm, he's going to be doing a tasting menu. Damn it, is going to be DJing, and we're going to have crafts. So all of my 3 favorite things in life: music, food, crafts.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Michelle, thank you.
Thank you.
This exceeded my hype for this episode. I was very excited about this one. But thank you guys for taking this journey with us to Camp North End. We've got one more coming that we're really excited about for the first part of our series here. But please come make a craft, come hang out at camp, support, Camp North End. And again, these are the voices that we're very proud to share. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.